You guys made your guesses, plenty of good guesses too. But you actually all were wrong. You guessed everybody around the person that it is. Everybody around, but not the person themselves. We talked about this person in depth. It is Seika Izawa week, bitches. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy Ghost got around to this one. I knew it was coming, just didn't know when. Great timing this man has. I can't believe there were no guesses for Seika. If there was and I missed it, I apologize. Let me give you credit, but I did not see any Seika Izawa guesses in the comments. So without further ado, let's talk about the best prospect in MMA right now. The strawweight champ of Deep Jewels. And her absolutely brilliant grappling. All right, let's full screen it. Bum bum. Here we go. Strap yourselves in. You ready, Cinchro? You got your popcorn? Seika Izawa Grappling Masterclass. We are big fans of fighters that kick the inside leg. Not as cool as a step-up inside low kick, but rear low kicks from open stance are just as painful and off-balancing for the opponent. Not the best execution of an open side body kick, but effective, which is what matters in the end. Lack of pivot prevents Izawa from turning over her hips and also puts her knee at risk since her knee is twisting while her foot is planted. Izawa rolls under the lead hook, punching off any kick is a very intelligent tactic. It's a great way to catch an opponent while they are looking to counter your kicks. Downward elbow quote. Beautiful level change off the switch step overhand. Good cage awareness by Izawa. Shooting when the opponent's back is close to the cage allows Izawa to limit her opponent's options of escape. Opponent brings her knee down to the mat with good posture along the fence. This makes it difficult for Izawa to turn the corner and finish her double leg. The double leg going through the fence wasn't working. Izawa begins to work her hips to the overhook side. Getting the knee behind the opponent's knee is a sneaky adjustment for a double leg along the fence since it creates an improvised fulcrum point. Improvised fulcrum point. Highlighted right there. Izawa uses opposing forces along the fulcrum point to complete her double leg. Well, this isn't part of the Kazushi series. This is a Kazushi moment. You love to see it. A little Easter egg, right? You could say that's an Easter egg. Toss it in there. If he didn't spoil it for us, of course. This position is loose for both fighters since both have their base and posture broken. The opponent can still create frames and achieve guard. While Izawa takes her time to secure top position, the fighter who gets both feet on the ground first, base, will be in control of this position. Feet that are off the ground, no base. In green. Izawa gets her feet on the ground first, so she establishes her base effectively, taking control of the position. This tiny adjustment shows great awareness and understanding of the position from Izawa. Underhooking the near side leg like this prevents her opponent from creating frames and basing. Izawa pushes her opponent to the fence. Now the opponent will have a hard time getting her feet to the mat and is stuck between the fence and Izawa, limiting her options of escape. Placing the knee on someone's neck or head area is a great move to advance position. It's uncomfortable and forces the opponent to make a move. Ghost does not condone this technique on civilians being arrested. For all you in the chat box overreacting right now. I think all of our minds went there, honestly. Glad you had to say that. Because of the knee on her neck, the opponent had to remove her arm away from Izawa's head. By basing her leg over the opponent's head forces the opponent to try to posture up without a base, allowing Izawa to attack for submission or look to improve the position. Not a good idea to turtle against Izawa, unless you know how to do the Roberto Satoshi turtle roll. Ooh, love it. Opponent looks to reestablish her base by tripoding. The problem is Izawa's grips and pressure prevent the opponent from posturing up. Opponent needs to sit back with her hips to get to a base where she can hand fight. Opponent begins to hand fight. This is a mistake by Izawa. She tries to go for a back take while her opponent has control of her right wrist. Wrist control and base allows the opponent to get back up since Izawa lost all her leverage and pressure. Izawa loses her positional advantage but decides to get compensation by squaring up and creating her hip separation to land brutal knees to the body while the opponent is busy trying to get back up. Wonderful stuff right there. Over under clinch with both fighters monitoring each other's far leg. 50-50 positional battle. Both try to throw knees but can't land them. Izawa puts pressure on the underhook of her opponent. Pressure forces the opponent to step back, compromising her own base. This gives Izawa the hip separation she needs to land knees to the body. Izawa throws an overhand left while the opponent is attempting to cross frame and has wrist control. The overhand in this position against a fighter who knows how to elbow in the clinch is dangerous since the overhand gives up inside position. Opponent moves forward instead of angling with the cross face, which leads to Izawa getting a double underhook, underbody lock. Excuse me, underbody lock. Double under body lock. There we go. Head post to the underhook side. Wide base while the opponent's legs are perpendicular to Izawa's hips. Dominant position for Izawa since she can control opponent's hips and strike at an angle that's difficult to defend. Izawa brings her right foot behind her opponent for a scissor trip. Lovely. Izawa bases her leg towards the fence to fold her opponent with a body lock. Izawa moves to consolidated half guard. Crafty move. Izawa does a knee cut pass, but doesn't fully pass. Instead, she wedges her left foot on the opponent's grounded leg. This is a trap. When the opponent tries to bridge up, it brings Izawa into side control. Opponent bridges while Izawa has a wedge in. Opponent's bridge puts Izawa in side control, and position of the opponent's arm is in a prime position to get herself crucifixed. No fun. Crucifix position, and earlier I said she would be a second coming of female Jesus in MMA, didn't I? Full circle. Izawa gets wrist control to get to crucifix. Izawa doesn't get the crucifix since her opponent pummels to bicep control, so Izawa has to adjust. Izawa brings her leg over the opponent's head. Izawa uses the opposing forces to change the dynamics of the position. Opponent's arm is exposed to be isolated. Not good. Izawa snatches the arm for an armbar. Opponent's basing leg acts as a barrier for Izawa's legs that prevents Izawa from finishing the armbar. Opponent needs to move in the direction of the lock without giving up space. Opponent bases backwards, which gives Izawa the space to adjust her lock. And now we have a stalemate for the next 30 seconds. But don't you worry, there's more on the way. Just a little bit of Twister. It's no big deal. quick game of Twister here in between the fight. But oh no, the opponent tries to move towards the isolated arm, but it gives Izawa the space to adjust her lock. High drama. Uh-oh. Izawa bases her outside foot to create space for a double wrist lock. Izawa does not roll, but instead readjusts her base and posture. If she were to roll now, she would not have the leverage to finish and roll through. Izawa starts to roll as soon as she gets her base pointing in the direction of the roll. Oh, no. Opposing forces can destroy the elbow articulating structure since the elbow has become an improvised fulcrum point. Oh, God. I'm going to tap. Oh, man. First of all, one of my favorite performances of this year. What a title win for Seika Izawa over Miki Matono right there in their rematch. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. As Ghost says, since the chat has been asking why did they do Hamasaki versus Izawa instead of Oshima versus Izawa, so I'll ask a different question. Thank you, Ghost. What is the more advantageous for Izawa's overwhelming style of grappling? The cage or the ring? That, my friend, is an excellent question. as I bring myself back on. Oh, not on screen. There we are. Turn the camera back on. Great question, Ghost. I think having watched Seika's career to this point, I know she doesn't have that many fights, right? It's like 5 or 6. I've already forgotten. I'm all over the place. You know me. I think all of her fights have been in the cage. I don't think she's fought in the ring. So you can't really say which is better for her. I mean, I guess you can because we don't know how the ring is, but just assuming how it would be off of what we've seen from her, I think the cage she's definitely a better cage fighter, at least for her style. We see her get up against push pressure people against the cage a lot. We just saw it right there, right? And we've seen it many times. It was in the Siwoo Park fight, her last one, her atomweight debut. If you guys haven't seen that yet, it is on YouTube now. Please check it out. I implore you to. Great performance from her. Um, yeah, I think just how aggressive she is with it, her overwhelming style of grappling, like you said. The cage benefits her a bit more, having that stability to fall back on with the form of a chain link fence, right? Rather than ropes. She might be, spearing some bitches out of the ring. We'll see. I don't think she'll do it to Ayaka, but she could. We'll see. That'll be I believe that will be a new element for her. I don't think she's fought in the ring, which is interesting because Deep Jewels does kind of go back and forth sometimes between the ring and the cage, but she's never done it. She grappled in the tag team match was in the ring, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. But in that one, she didn't really need it. And obviously, different grappling match compared to an MMA fight, a little bit different. But that's a good question, though, Ghost. We'll find out as time goes on, right? But I think obviously by default, you have to say the cage, but then just in theory, with knowing what her style is like and having seen it utilize the cage a decent bit, I think you got to go with the cage in that case. So lovely stuff. Glad that we got to Sayaka here, and I'm sure we would have before the fight anyway, but there it is. So